to the NutriMedical Report. And Bill is late again. He must take advantage of me, I think, since we've moved to RBN. But I'm here all by myself, and I don't have a whole lot to say today, except for how excited I am to see my grandchildren tomorrow, because we're going to fly up to Portland. And Bill's going to do the show from Portland on Monday and Tuesday. However, I'll give you a heads up that tomorrow it'll be a repeats. I apologize. It'll be a rebroadcast, I guess that's what you call it. So sorry about that, but hey, new shows on Monday and Tuesday all the way from Portland. Matthew might try to get on the air too, and we'll see how his behavior is. Hi, Bill.
Am I late?
You're late. So I'm just talking about the trip, things I like to talk about.
Well, that's a good thing.
The trip. So come and sit down and join me on the NutriMedical Report. This is the firing line, and you're on fire. You're the guy. You're the target.
Yeah, I'm in the batter cage, they call it.
That's you.
Okay, go ahead.
I have been going ahead. What I'd like to talk about now that you're here, because you happen to have all the knowledge on the supplements, I have all the knowledge on the trips.
That's good. I'm glad that we have that division of informational authority.
Little announcement for you out there. All your listeners, please take advantage of this weekend. We do have a few specials on. It's Father's Day specials on the front page. It's not a great big sale, so don't misinterpret me, or don't, hopefully I'm saying it correctly. It's sales that are going to be ongoing with free shipping and 7% off on select products all weekend till we get back on Wednesday. And I'll just go over what they are. They are refreshing up your page there, Bill. The Nutridyne, that's on sale because that's still our number one product. And if Bill wants to say a little something about these products, I'll actually let him.
Nutridyne is the only monatomic Tesla-activated iodine. I know that a number of other people out there, yahoos, a dozen people, talk about Tomadyne. Alex Jones has his garbage iodine, all kinds of other people out there, Youngevity, etc. They do not have anything to compare to this. And it activates your mitochondria, detoxifies your fluoride, chloride, and bromide, helps to cause mitochondriogenesis, to create new mitochondria, and detoxifies you from what's called halide toxins, which are, besides radiotoxins, the most dangerous toxins in your body that are also endocrine disruptors.
Thank you, Bill. The other product that I have on sale is NutriDefense for everyone.
I designed that specifically to...
Go ahead. There. Sale, 7% off, like our usual sales, and free shipping. Go ahead, Bill.
Now, NutriDefense is really important. It's the most powerful antioxidant that will prevent cancer and detoxify chemicals. It has a special components to disrupt the viral capsid of all RNA and DNA viruses, including Zika. It has the most powerful stimulant for your NK killer cells to attack pathogens and cancer cells, and it also disrupts what's called a Fenton reaction, so pathogens can't enter tissue planes, and it blocks the receptor binding domain.
What was that last? Skull reflective?
It's called the Fenton reaction, that all pathogens have to use a Fenton reaction, which is free iron and heavy metals.
Fenton. Oh, it sounds like
F-E-N-T-O-N. Fenton, it's iron. Okay. And then it also blocks the receptor binding domain for all viruses to attach to your cell membranes, RNA and DNA viruses.
Okay.
So it's really, really powerful. It's important to take every day for just general health, but it also will block pathogens.
And that's a double bottle, too. That's 120 capsules.
Yeah, it's really, really important.
That's a big one.
1 or 2 capsules a day will make a whole difference in your health.
Speaking of double bottle, I also put up Power C Plus, 120 capsules.
And this is the only...
And that is only $32.50 with free shipping.
Wow. Now, this is the only... This is far better than liposomal or any other form of Power C, vitamin C, because it's a salt, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium ascorbate with biopera and black pepper extract. It is the only neutral pH vitamin C in the world. It's the only one that will actually get dosages where we use it for cancer and autoimmune disease. And for diuretic, I tell people the best diuretic combination is Power C, Vein Away, and the ellagic acid to diurease off fluid without messing up your electrolytes, as it's calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium ascorbate.
Okay, Bill. The other one is the Allison Med. Allison Med is 90 capsules, and we have replaced the Allimed that we used to have because it's we hardly ever sell it anymore because everyone's switched over and likes the great deal with the Allison Med. The Allimed, for those of you that are new, used to be like $129.95 a bottle. and it was made by Alimax.
It's also a smaller
Bill
bottle
has-
of this too. It's I think it was like 60
was
or
60 caps.
60 caps. This is 120 caps
So
for a
Bill
lower price.
did his research, and research actually took years, but we finally got an Allison Med.
It's a
And-
German source. We have a German source that's very similar to Peter Josling's. So it deals 200 milligrams more Allison per capsule, and you get double the number of capsules at a lower price, like less than a little
Actually,
bit.
it's not double. 90 compared to 60.
90 compared to, 90,
Yeah.
so it's a 1.5. But each capsule delivers 200 milligrams more activated allicin, and it goes through the biofilm. So if you're trying to get rid of periodontal plaque or arterial plaque or stealth pathogens or protect yourself from biting insects, for example, if you take this, you won't be bitten by mosquitoes or ticks. If you're worried about Zika virus, mothers, just start taking this and you're fine. Even if you go to Brazil, doesn't matter. You will not get bitten.
What I know people to take it for is if you have a toothache or something.
Right, or anything, bronchitis, sinus.
And you just really double, triple
Yeah,
up on that.
dysbiosis
and
in your
it's-
bowel, anything at all.
There's so many things.
Yeah, head to toe. Yeah.
Next is Cardiovasc, which was formerly called Cardovite. And Cardiovasc, we are the sole providers of Cardiovasc in America. Freed has been so sweet to offer that to us. And that is 180 capsules on sale, Bill, 7% and free shipping for $65.05.
Right.
Another great deal, and I'm sure you have something to say about, you're just like a robot. Press the button, say something about Cardiovasc.
Well, Cardiovasc is going to protect your arterial walls. It's going to prevent plaque formation. It's going to increase nitric oxide. It's going to increase what's called tissue perfusion of nutrients and oxygen. And it's going to balance your autonomic nervous system, so lower your blood pressure while maintaining perfusion.
The other, of course, is our QRMA is now 15% off.
Yeah, that's
actually mark it down even more on our upcoming sale on Independence Day.
Now, it's the best diagnostic technology you can have at home.
It's so cool. It is so cool.
Yeah.
If I'm wondering how my iron is, if I'm wondering what's
Organ
going on,
function.
I just get Bill to do a QRMA for me.
And if you have a machine, for you and your immediate family, we're talking about even your aunts and uncles and cousins, I will do the analysis of the QRMA for you and give you a report and tell you what nutraceuticals to take.
This is a good day, Bill, for you to let us know what is QRMA.
Quantitative resonant magnetic analysis. And there's a database of magnetic field, if you call archetypes, dependent on organ function, mineral levels, vitamin levels, and toxins. And that database is cross-checked with your age and sex. And they're able to determine from that. We have another technology, too, called a bioplasm. It's a Russian one that's more advanced in a different way. But the best, quickest test is this QRMA. It takes a minute to do the test. You simply send a compressed file with a little history to me, and I can tell you what nutraceuticals you take. So if you tell me your history, let's say you worked in the military with heavy metals and toxins, let's say you have arthritis, or you've got hypertension, or you're diabetic, or you get peripheral neuropathy, I can tell you what nutraceuticals to take to start correcting it. And most people, if they're starting off on a starting protocol, within a year they're down to about 1/3 of what they used to take, and it's targeted to only what they need. So in other words, they don't take everything under the sun. And I often tell people, do red light, green light. Even if I give you a list of nutraceuticals, don't take them every day. If you say, hey, I don't want to take 20 pills a day, you have several options. Number one, you do red light, green light, say, I'm going to take this one today. Or you can open them up and make a powder and put them in a smoothie, say, with ageless life support or glycemics. I tell people, when you're doing it with the bodies, you're trying to provide nutrients for the targeted deficiencies and imbalances. If you take things you don't need, you can actually create new deficiencies or relative imbalances, which is why the QRMA is so important.
I'd like to say something that's cool just about myself, since I can relate to it, is that one of my QRMA about 6 months ago said that my blood was getting viscous.
Right.
Which, you don't want to happen when you're 60. So it was starting on that side where it was going toward the yellow and...
Yeah, that puts you at risk of a stroke or heart disease down the road.
So Bill said, hey, take the nattokinase. And I took it pretty faithfully almost every day. And then we went back here. It's actually 6 months later, and it's perfect. It's right in the green. That's how you use the QRMA. You say, okay, little things that can get out of whack, because every age needs. Well, look at Christopher, our son. He's Mr. Athlete.
Yeah, but I'm sure he has imbalances, and he can even eat organically and so on.
He loves to take the product, Bill. He
takes the product. So I'm saying, if you do a QRMA on him, I would bet if we did a test, we'd find, because when you exercise, you're going to lose nutrients like magnesium. You're going to use up minerals like for example, silicon. to rebuild collagen and bone and ligaments.
Right. Why don't you talk about what happened with Chris, because he's a speed runner, right? He's running around like a crazy. I say.
Well, he works out 3 times a day.
Yeah, he does. Mystery athlete. But anyways, what was going on with the shin there? Last weekend you were feeling the shin. What was that?
He's getting inflammation of the periosteum, and he's getting hairline stress fractures.
From so much running.
Yeah, and also he's getting what's called tenosynovitis of his anterior tibialis compartments and so on.
So I saw him go back in with the supplements, and he came out with a bone generator.
Yeah.
Right? And what else did you recommend?
I recommended that topically he put on pregnenolone and curcumin cream, and then he'd take the Inflamex to break up the adhesions of the tendon sheath and the tendons, it was called Tendon Mender, and the Inflamex to kind of settle it down.
But I wanted you to know he's back running again already.
Right.
But he's feeling better. He thinks it's working instantly.
Right.
But he ran so fast the machine broke down. Couldn't take the power.
Oh, you're talking about
he went on the treadmill this
time.
Well,
that's because I had a bunch of lights on and my computer's all in my studio, and he was had going full force and blew the breaker.
Crazy.
So he just had to throw the breaker back, and we're fine.
Back to the products. Let's talk a little bit about lactose blocker. That one is 15% off and free shipping. Lactose blocker.
It's very unusual. You can go to pharmacies all over the world and you'll find milk lactase enzyme. Mm-hmm. It's very inferior. It only works at a very narrow pH range. This is what's called a neutral pH lactase, and most people have dysbiosis of their gut. They don't break down properly milk sugar, but their gut bacteria do. Mm-hmm. And they end up with basically acid stool and dysbiosis that grows fungi, bacteria, and all kinds of the nasties. Mm-hmm. And if they use this neutral pH lactase, they'll help to prevent what's called lactose-induced gut dysbiosis.
How do you know if you're lactose intolerant?
You can do a stool test for it, but it's really obvious. What happens is you get fluctuating back and forth from constipation to diarrhea. You get bloating after you eat. You may have acid reflux even. There's a whole range of symptoms that are related to. But basically we have the only, and this is the only in the world, neutral pH lactase. Everybody else's is what's called a very narrow range acid lactase. This one also will work in the entire range through the upper small bowel. Because if you don't get rid of it, it's going to cause what's called SBO, or small bowel overgrowth, and you can do a test called a hydrogen breath test. If the hydrogen breath test is positive, you've got a lactose problem, and it's very common, extremely common cause of dysbiosis. A lot of people don't know that they're not digesting their food properly, or they're getting food allergies, or they're getting even effects in their brain, like extreme agitation or tiredness and other problems, or joint inflammation, and it's caused by gut dysbiosis. And their breath test will be positive from they're using dairy products, but they're not fully breaking down the lactase. And only about 3 to 5% of the population has the enzymes to break down it, because they're infantile enzymes. Like people like from Norway and Sweden, they may have the enzymes, but the vast majority of other people don't. And so they may be partially able to induce the enzyme, and so they have a partial lactose tolerance, but they have a dysbiosis because they don't have a neutral lactase enzyme that will work in the other pH of the small bowel.
And finally, the Silver 100 is 15% off and free shipping, and I know you've got
Silver 100.
Lots about our silver.
Yeah, there's a lot of fools out there that are pushing their silver. These are inactive nanoparticles or colloidal particles of silver, whether they make it themselves with silver rods or they're buying gallon jugs. It is totally physically inactive, has no activity except the tiny amount on the outside of the particle that goes in an ionic state. The problem is, even when it ionizes, because it's not in what's called a complex like citrate, it immediately interacts with proteins or halides like chloride, fluoride, and bromide, like fluoridated water, and it grabs it. So basically, it has almost no biological activity to get through the target tissues. Because ours is a citrate complex, it's 100% in its lethal form, its stem cell inducing form, and it'll go through a biofilm and go all the way through to the target tissues. So it's hundreds of times stronger than any other silver. Do not make your own. Do not buy from any other manufacturer. It's a waste of time. You have to take gallons of it to be going just drops of ours.
I'll get into, well, I guess, by the way, that's it for the products. That's all the products that are on sale for the weekend. So go on in and enjoy it. And
by the way, we had Brian.
I'll be checking so I can relax.
We had Brian in the last.
Hopefully, by the Lord willing, we get lots of sales on the.
Brian gave me a warning. He's a firefighter from Toronto that called in about the wives of firefighters dying.
Who?
Brian, our firefighter from Toronto.
Yeah. He's a captain.
Right, yeah. And he called in and he said, it's the rate of change of the toxins that are killing the wives. If you have a constant level of toxins, and your body's adapted to it, it's safer to keep yourself in a toxic state than to rapidly pull the toxins out without buffering and protecting yourself from free radicals. So the wives exposed to cleaning clothes, or the person outgassing on the other side of the bed at night, that's actually more dangerous to the wives than the exposure.
What do you mean outgassing? What are you talking about?
There's three things that get rid of toxins: your liver, your kidneys, and your skin. So at night, they're outgassing all the toxic chemicals as a firefighter, because every firefighter on Earth has a disability policy for the toxins causing heart failure, or vascular disease and lung disease and cancer. And so what happens is the wives actually get exposed to a surge. So the rate of change of the toxins causes more free radicals and more damage than the constant presence of toxins. So, like when somebody's pulling mercury out of their teeth, you got to buffer them, or they're going to die of cancer, or get a stroke, or get a brain.
I know that, but I didn't realize sleeping with someone.
Yes, and so if someone is working in a toxic environment and they're outgassing chemicals, they're going to cause vascular disease, diabetes, and cancer. And if there's a lot of toxins and you're over the years, the surge of toxins, especially if they're cleaning their clothes at home, or if the person just got a lot of toxins and they're not going through a detox regimen, their wives are exposed to a lot of these toxins as they outgas from their husband.
I'm sleeping with you, as you know.
But I take a lot of vitamins.
You're taking everything. And also, I take the Life Support, which has all the detox in it.
Phase 2 detox support. Yeah. Methylation, glucuronidation, sulfation.
So we're good.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Jim.
That's why, for example, if you're really clean like you are now, and you eat at a restaurant that has MSG or the other 29 different names for MSG, you're going to get immediate and a very violent reaction. Now, that means, believe it or not, listen to this. If you're not detoxified and you eat foods that wouldn't make you that sick, it's not as dangerous for you, but you're still dying. But if you're really clean and you get exposed to something bad, you're going to get very, very sick. So now you have to be more vigilant, because if you're exposed, it actually can cause more damage. So you can't eat foods with MSG or MSG, things like textured vegetable protein or all the other garbage names they have. These are NMDA receptor agonists, and they're extremely dangerous to generate free radicals in your body. And so you can't eat garbage food, like soy-based oils, polyhydrogenated vegetable oil that's reheated and everything, creates malondialdehyde, heavy metals that are in foods, for example. And more people now, as they start to clean themselves up, they realize if they eat something that's bad, has anything bad in it, like GMO, hydrogenated vegetable oil, and all the other garbage, they're going to get a lot sicker, and it's more dangerous for them, believe it or not. So they have to be vigilant once you clean yourself up.
Jim from New Mexico, Bill, our friend Jim, he wanted me to ask you today why this happened to him, but he took an allopurinol, or whatever it is.
Allopurinol,
yeah. And his heart started beating like crazy. He couldn't breathe, hardly breathe. It was really short of breath and everything, and they rushed him to the hospital.
I'll tell you why. Yeah. It's real simple. When you take allopurinol, it dumps uric acid through your kidneys, but it also surges your homocysteine levels through the ceiling. And dumb doctors don't know this, because you never do a homocysteine challenge test. You got to give somebody 500 milligrams of L-methionine and amino acid the night before you do a test for homocysteine. If you measure homocysteine the next morning after you do an L-methionine challenge, 2/3 to 3/4 of the time you'll see it off into orbit. It's extremely toxic to your brain and heart. And when you take allopurinol, your homocysteine goes into orbit. To stop it, they start off with bio-LVR, at least a capsule twice a day, samethyl, superfolate, and pyromethyl B12, and it's gone. But high uric acid is a marker indication that you're probably making homocysteine, and if you take allopurinol, it's going to go into orbit, and it's very dangerous to your brain.
Let me say this. The doctor said, I want to say this before you go, because he's been on our heart program for 6 years, and they couldn't believe, and he's had a big heart attack, already, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Major surgery. He was perfect.
Yeah, the doctor contacted me, wanted to know, what does he take, what is he taking?
Yeah, the doctor.
And then, by the way, I'll train any doctor to say I'll make any doctor better in 2 hours if they'll just let. Yes, attention all shoppers. It's cancellation day. It's cancellation of your ignorance of how to stay well. It's cancellation of your use of only allopathic medicine. And again, remember, there are some good things in allopathic, as well as chiropractic, herbology, etc. But we pull the good things and tell you what to take and what things are not good or stupid.
That's
or
right.
dangerous.
We don't throw at everything.
We don't throw everything.
Eric, in an email, greetings and blessings to you, Dr. Bill. I've recently discovered you on RBN, and to say the least, with you and Mike Rivero, John has struck gold once again. And I have a few questions, if you don't mind. My diet mainly consists of canned foods, beans and chicken you heat up in the microwave. Can you give me an alternative on what to eat? I often eat organic beans, but I'm sure I could do better. I used to eat sweets and Taco Bell, a.k.a. Taco Hell, LOL, every day, but I want my temple to be as pure. How old is this guy? He's 33, he says.
Yeah.
And I stop fast food except the occasional Chinese buffet. He goes on to say, if you know, I guess really what he wants you to do is to recommend, he says, some stuff from your website to help me detox. Just turned 33 and I want to stay as healthy as possible no matter how Monsanto feels about it.
Right. The first thing is you want to substitute some of those meals with probably ageless and life support, and if you're pre-diabetic, glycemics. And that'll help you detox you. Secondly, you can add Keeler Max to pull out the heavy metals. And for the chemicals, there's life support, and then I would add to that xenoestrogen detox is very helpful as the next stage, and bio-LVR, because
if,
you need the methylation pathways of the detox.
If he's on a budget, I would say, first and foremost, go for the life support.
Life support and
chocolate or vanilla, it's delicious.
Yeah, life support and then Keeler Max with heavy metals and NutriDefense for pulling out toxic chemicals.
He also goes on to please explain how the Lord started sealing the 144,000 at the blood moons. I thought that was very interesting, and thank you so much. Bless you and your family in Jesus' name.
What happened is that the 120th Jubilee year is this year, starting last September, and it goes to this September. The 120th Shemitah or Wipeout or Jubilee year basically is the end of what's called the secular age. And the age we're in right now, the time period, the dispensation is what's called the sealing of God's elect. In other words, the sealing of the bride getting ready for the bridegroom to come back at the end of the age. I don't know what it is, but I can tell you it started with the blood moon, the tetrad blood moon last September. And when that's going to happen is basically the signs to watch for are real simple. If they have a peace treaty that sets up a Palestinian state, and in the Springs of Gihon, which is below the Eastern Gate, they start a blood sacrifice for the Jews, which is the abomination that desolates. It desolates means they give territory to the Palestinians and the Muslims, which is a satanic religion, and they abominate, which means they have a blood sacrifice instead of accepting the blood of Yeshua, because the state of Israel was founded as an apostasy against Jesus, that it is the abomination to start a blood animal sacrifice and a desolation to give territory to a satanic faith, which is Islam and the Palestinians. So that's the abomination that desolates, and it can, by rabbinic law, can only occur on Sukkot from their actual rabbis of the Temple Mount organization in Zafed, north of the Sea of Gennesaret. Those are all historical facts and technical facts. So I don't know what it is. It could be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but it's soon. And it means when you see the peace treaty that gives the Palestinian states and allows the Jews to start a blood sacrifice even with a tent of meeting like the Moses tent, which they can set up overnight, we're there. And it can only be sanctified on a Sukkot ceremony, which is an early fall ceremony.
On that note, do we have time for a joke from Santi?
Oh, always. Santi in New Mexico, yeah.
Muldoon lived alone in the Irish countryside with only a pet dog for company. One day the dog died, and Muldoon went to the parish priest and asked, "Father, my dog is dead. Could you be saying a mass for the poor creature?" Father Patrick replied, "I'm afraid not. We cannot have services for an animal in the church, but there are some Baptists down the lane, and there's no telling what they believe. Maybe they'll do something for the creature." Muldoon said, "I'll go right away, Father. Do you think 5,000 is enough to donate to them for the service?" Father Patrick exclaimed, "Sweet Mary, Mother of Jesus, why didn't you tell me the dog was Catholic?" That's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. Right?
Making me choke.
He also said this, what's the Cuban national anthem? Row, row, row your boat?
Gently to Florida.
That's bad.
That's funny.
And what do you call it when an Italian has one arm shorter than the other? A speech impediment.
Oh, yeah.
They talk with their hands.
Yeah, with their hands. That's funny. That's good. That's good. Good jokes.
Good. Thanks, Santi.
Excellent jokes. Yeah. Good.
When we come back, we'll have more emails.
Sounds good. Father's Day this weekend, and I'm a father, and we got our oldest son is a father.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers on Sunday.
Yes, indeed.
They deserve it. They keep us women happy.
That's right.
Happy wife, happy life.
Well, I hope I keep you happy. So, besides my warts and
if you didn't,
stuff.
We've been married 31 years. I wouldn't be here, so I must be happy.
Thank you.
There you go.
And we made a nice family, and we served
the litmus test. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Happy wife, happy life, as they say. Yeah, and I think, by the way, I said this in the last hour. I said I think little girls, by the time they're 4, are socially and emotionally at the level of a 21-year-old male. So we never catch up. Even when we're in our 60s, we're still kind of like, oh, okay, I'm still relatively emotionally stupid compared.
That's what makes men fun.
Yeah, exactly.
We always feel like we're ahead of them.
We always are, actually. And we sometimes get the delusion that we are, and then we realize, that was a bad idea.
Daddy D, I will say on the air, as everybody already knows, and you've heard it many, many years before, you are an awesome father. You're the best father, the most loving father anyone could ever have. You know you are. And
I try to be a medical father to all these people out there too, to help them. By the way, we get a lot of doctors that are listeners and patients, and so they know they don't want to submit to just their allopathic, let's say, colleagues. They want to pick out the right things in allopathic medicine if you need surgery, but they want to have a holistic approach, functional medicine approach, so they can survive the treatment and actually thrive and not get horrible complications or go the wrong way.
You know what makes a father a great father to me is love.
Yes.
Have lots and lots of love, and you have lots and lots of love. You have more than me.
Oh.
Let's be honest. You do. You've got love for people you don't know. You have love for so many people and so many. We're supposed to be what we call empaths. I call it the epiphany of empathy. If you're empathic to other people and you're concerned, like Jesus said, if worship the Most High God with your heart, soul, and mind, and care about your neighbor as yourself. Among these 2 things hang all the commandments. So basically, Jesus said, "Hey, I'll simplify it down to 2 commandments, 2 main strains for the 10 commandments. And if you do that, you have a relationship with God, and therefore you can take care of your fellow man, and you have a decent society." Which is treat your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
I like to feel that I'm empathic.
You are. You're
say
very
it for me.
Empathic.
Empathic. Well, I was going to say empathetic. Is there such a word as that?
That's true too.
Empathetic is what I was getting at.
Empathetic, yeah.
Anyways,
I don't want to be pathetic, though. It sounds like pathetic.
Here we are pathetically talking about ourselves. Shall we get into the emails?
Yeah, let's do that.
The Mutual Admiration Society, me and Bill.
This is good. If I'm going to Father's Day and I'm being treated like this is going to be a good weekend.
Oh, don't worry. I'll get you at some point. Barbara Bill from Arizona. Dear Dr. Bill, the Norable supplement has the BH4 biopterin enzyme removed.
Yes.
I found that supplement very helpful for energy and mood and wonder if BH4 is anywhere to be found in any of your other supplements. Can you help? My body doesn't seem to make enough.
It's easy to make it. You start off with just bio-LVR and your body will make lots. If you want to increase methylation with methyl, power methyl B12 and superfolate.
Which, keeping it simple, you would recommend the bio-LVR.
Bio-LVR, yeah. Your body will make lots of tetrahydrobiopterin. And we have had an option to perhaps reintroduce it, but if we don't have a steady supply, one of the things we found is that if people think they really depend on this because they all hype about BH4, because it's powerful stuff, it's very expensive, and if we lose our supply, people get angry. It's amazing how many people were going to the internet and finding we were one of the only suppliers on the planet. And we get people to Google us in and never listen to the show. Well, when we ran out of supply because we couldn't get our manufacturer to get it properly certified, people flipped out, and it was not funny. You should have
something on the website to help those people that are looking for the BH4 so they know the bio-LVR.
Well, bio-LVR is the first step. Yeah. Second step is to use power methyl B12 and superfolate, and then finally the big kahuna is to add to it the Minerals Plus and some methyl. You need the Minerals Plus for the tryptase and pyrrolase enzymes to make the neurotransmitters out of amino acids.
Well, then that would be a protocol, then. I would say the BH4 protocol.
I'll put that together.
Okay. Next is John. Hi, Dr. Bill. Our borough is installing Census Model 620C smart water meters. Boroughs, wouldn't that be New York or what?
Yeah.
Where can I find the RF data on this meter? It says Pennsylvania. I'm located in Pennsylvania, Bill.
We can contact the manufacturer.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they're not going to give you good data. The manufacturer's not going to give you good data.
Just a sec, Bill. Yeah. I'm still reading. Is there a way to refuse? This is important because a lot of people are out there and they have smart meters still, Bill, and they want to know how to get rid of these things. Is there a way to refuse a smart water meter?
Yes.
And the borough has an ordinance on water meters, and the ordinance has a penalty for not installing a new meter.
Okay. The first thing is the federal law set up by the Congress is a permissive law, which means everybody has a right to refuse. They don't have an automatic opt-in. That's number one. Number two, you need to file a pro se litigant action you need to not get a lawyer because they're going to screw around and cost you a lot of money. You want to get the course called How to Win in Court with Dr. Fred Graves. Then you file the rules of the court and the rules of procedure and evidence, and you simply file and say, this is a federal law, you don't have a right to automatically opt me in, I'm opted out. In other places like Saskatchewan, where they've been proven they cause hosts of business fires, when they've been proven now that smart meters and Wi-Fi networks actually cause brain cancer, that research just came out this week. We had less EMF dimethyltophenol on. And what people need to understand is smart meters here. Thanks for the water. What people need to start understanding is that they're trying to pretend, the local boroughs or municipalities or states or provinces try to pretend that you're automatically opted in. You're not. They're lying. The federal law does not automatically opt you in. And in many places now, they actually, for example, in the state of New York, they actually have an automatic opt-out because the federal law does not empower the states to force you to have a smart meter. These cause non-thermal effects that disrupt your cell membranes. They cause cancer and stress. You can prove it in every organism, and it's not just some people get symptoms. Every living thing is toxically affected by polarizing smart meter type pulse magnetic fields. And they can cause fires because they affect your number of step-down transformers in your own home, and they can affect your literally your wires in your home to go on fire, or your transformer boxes, etc. So they're dangerous.
Next is Laureen from Canada. Hello, Dr. DEAGLE. I live in Calgary, Alberta, and I have a 23-year-old daughter that has not been well for 2 years. She had a bunion removed 2 years ago last April, and the doctors prescribed Percocet, painkiller, T3s, etc. She had a very traumatic experience with this surgery and has not been well ever since. She does not do drugs and drinks very little. She developed stomach issues, pain in between her breastplate, and now has been told she has thyroid issues. Her doctor told her that the thyroid should be 2 and hers is 9. She was given a prescription for thyroid pills, a small dose. She's only 87 pounds, Bill, and has been on this for 1 month without any noticeable difference. The doctor said they will do an ultrasound in July. She has also developed whole body itching. Her whole body seems to be itchy and drives her crazy. She is very aware of the toxins in food, etc. So she really tries to eat healthy, organic when possible, but she's always so tired that she can hardly get up and go to work.
Whenever you see thyroid, you often have to also think there may be adrenal. So adrenal is a saliva test. Thyroid, you want to measure a free T4, free T3, free reverse T3 in the whole body, first morning temperature chart. The high-sensitivity TSH test is not accurate if your RT3 is high, reverse thyroid hormone. Never take a synthetic thyroid, levothyroxine or Synthroid. Armour thyroid, which is a glandular, has titanium dioxide and cornstarch polymers. You want to take armitothyroid, Nutridine, selenium, and you can take things like forskolin, but you need the minerals and Minerals Plus and selenium cruciferate. What's going on with her? She sounds like she's getting allergic and getting generalized pruritus.
But
she's
what
still
do you think
hypothyroid.
happened that she had the bunion removed, and then after the surgery, like it's been 2 years, and she's still not well? Could it be that they put her on the Percocet and those painkillers?
Well, Percocet is a painkiller, and the problem is you're trying to work at what's called what's called pain gate. There's 7 pain gates in your body. The first pain gate is the Langerhans gate in your skin, which is my patent from 1986. Second gate is the dorsal root ganglion in your spinal cord at the spinal level. Third is what's called the subthalamic nuclei, and then there's other gates.
Right.
When you're working in narcotics, you're actually working at the brain, the perceptive level. It doesn't stop the actual cause of pain, so you have autonomic and muscular effects and autonomic effects of blood flow that are not affected by taking narcotics. So basically it doesn't stop the pain or fix the problem. That's why people get addicted, and then when they can't afford the pills or the doctor cuts them off, they go to become heroin addicts.
Well, it says she developed stomach issues. Don't pain medications cause stomach issues?
Well, Percocet contains Tylenol, which is toxic to your liver, and if she's taking a lot of pills, she's probably going to get a gut dysbiosis and then end up with problems there. So she probably has multiple problems: gut dysbiosis, motility disorders of her stomach, hypothyroidism, maybe a hypoadrenalism. She's hypometabolic. She's getting generalized pruritus, so she's probably developing food allergies. She's got a whole range of issues we need to address.
Bill, a friend Henry from up in Corona, California. My sister is going, her name is Ida, I guess that's okay.
Right.
Is going through testing this Sunday morning, a preliminary diagnosis. She's 73 years old and hasn't been sleeping for weeks. and they say she has gallstones, Bill.
Yeah, well, gallstones respond very nicely to taking basically magnesium potassium citrate to dissolve the stones, and you'll help stop the stones also by taking phospholipids like omega supreme krill, cell detox glutathione, and to stop the free radicals, and cell defense plus to heal the inner lining of the gallbladder and bile ducts to concentrate the bile from your liver.
Sounds like she has cancer too, Bill, a mass about 14 centimeters around the lower chest and upper stomach.
Well, they need to do several things. Usually they'll pick up the mass on the ultrasound or a spiral thin section CT scan. You want to do gene-based testing to see what the cancer genetics are. You can do a biopsy or a blood test to do that, and there's labs in Germany and also in Cambridge, Massachusetts that are very good. I never recommend paint-by-numbers chemo or ever radiation, and I recommend that all of our patients take our nutraceutical protocol for cancer, no matter what type of cancer, malignant arrest, malignant block, ellagic acid, etc., Inflamex, because a lot of times that's all people take, and they get better just with that alone. They don't even go to chemo or other treatments, but you only debulk a tumor if it's blocking, say, a passage in your GI tract or blocking an artery or compressing a nerve or cosmetically, because you debulk it. You don't race in until you've started on your nutraceuticals first to prevent the cancer cells from being spread by the procedure, because when you do a procedure on something, you spread them through the local lymphatics, so you want to be on the nutraceuticals first before you cut.
Bill, I have a Bible verse that I like. I get them every day. This one I like, and I'd like for you to read it, because there's two different versions, the King James Version and the one from the Messianic Bible, like we have.
Right.
And can you read that, please?
King James, I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. In the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Okay.
Now read the Messianic Bible.
It is no longer Anoki who lives.
That means I.
Yeah, Anoki I, who lives, but Moshiach who lives in me, and the Chaim I now live in the bazaar. I live by Emmanuach. Yeah, by flesh. By Emmanuach. Emmanuach in the Ben Elohim, which is Mosaic, the one having Hava, agape for me, and having given himself over on my behalf. Basically says the same thing. Yeah,
it says the same thing. It's just so cool that it's all Jewish. It's the Jewish Bible. It's all the way they say things totally different.
Well, I can summarize what Jesus did. Is his name is Emmanuel, one who had full God knowledge, and the way is giving God knowledge to us, so we could have a relationship with God. Because you see, we don't clean ourselves up good enough for God. God cleans us up when we start to try to have a relationship with Him. And I tell people the only thing you can do that's right is to hear and do God's will, which is called Shema in Hebrew. And the only thing you do wrong is to not hear and do God's will. There's only one sin. There's not hundreds of thousands of sins.
Right.
It's just not doing what God said.
And different names for Jesus, like Emmanuel, and there's Emmanuel, Yeshua HaMashiach.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Joshua.
Well, Joshua is a short version. It's Yahashua HaMashiach, which means the breath who indwells and comes and incarnates in flesh and dwells among us and brings God knowledge. Okay. That's what it means.
Next is Tim, Bill, from Washington State. Do you still have men in hats?
The hands for men? I don't think so.
No.
But it's not necessary anyway, because if people take the men's max to release the male hormone from the globulin, basically hormone synergy to prevent it from converting to female,
right,
and they take DHEA and pregnenolone, we found 99.99% of the time your body will make plenty of hormone to correct your male hormone deficiency and stop andropause.
That's why we dropped the men in hats.
Yeah, you don't have to take it.
Most people are ordering the other products. Let's see, Bill. We have Bob from North Carolina. Hello, Dr. Bill. I trust all is well with you. I have a friend who has a gluten problem that has developed fairly recently and doesn't affect them with everything. It is inconsistent. They are not certain if it could be something more like celiac, but they did mention their thyroid was overactive according to their witch doctor. This person is lean but could have some general mild inflammation. I was not provided any specifics, just the overall diagnosis. I remember you speaking about this years ago, about a leaky gut syndrome, inappropriate immune response, among other things. So,
the first thing is you can do there's a
yeah.
CDSA2 test from Genova Labs, which you can order the test kit. If you contact me, I'll give you the link. The test can actually measure if you have a glutenase deficiency, but by the way, our gastrozyme gets rid of gluten. So if you've got a partial gluten intolerance, which may not be a full celiac syndrome, the gastrozyme, if you take it before meals and snacks, it'll get rid of the gluten and you're fine. But I usually tell people the thing you want to do is make sure your bread, it doesn't have glyphosates on it, because it's the glyphosates attached to the gliadin fraction of wheat gluten that makes it millions of times more toxic. Gluten by itself is not usually a problem. It's because we've been poisoning our food by putting glyphosates and pesticides on it that attach to the proteins. The gliadin fraction of wheat gluten is the worst part of it.
He says here, I recall you saying GastroHeal was a part of your protocol.
Yeah, so GastroHeal will heal the gut wall. Gastrozyme will digest the gluten and the other fractions, including proteins. Mm-hmm. And Nutriimmune will coat the gut wall, so you'll reduce the leakiness of the gut, which you can do a zonulin test or a leaky gut syndrome test through lactulose mannitol sugars through Genova Labs. So there's several labs that can actually quantitatively measure if you got a leaky gut. But get rid of the gluten is pretty easy. And if you have a gluten sensitivity syndrome, which you can do in a CDSA2 test, you need to avoid it. And there's a percentage of people that cannot tolerate any gluten, but most people have what's called partial intolerance. Mm-hmm. And they simply take gastrozyme, or number two, they have to avoid any breads or gluten that has been sprayed with, in other words, they have to have organic bread that doesn't have glyphosate or Roundup on it. Roundup is going to round you up. Mm-hmm. Round you up for the... I think you have a few more emails. We have about 4 or 5 more minutes.
Yes, we already did depression
before Father's Day and packing. The last of packing to leave tomorrow morning for Portland.
Bill, we already did for Taylor depression, so we've covered that first of the show. So we'll kind of move on to something different. Paul, one more thing, Dr. DEAGLE. I'm not clear on how often per day can he use the lumen photon safely.
Oh, you can use as I tell people. There's not a limit, but you got to use anti-inflammatory 7 or 6, mm-hmm. and then you use the target tissues, for example, based on what it is. For example, central nervous system and eyes is frequency 3. Mm-hmm. The internal organs, liver, kidneys, etc., were frequency number 4, and the endocrine glands like thyroid and so on are frequency number 5.
And it's infrared light. It's quite safe.
Oh yeah, it's basically pulse light. Yeah. So it's training the tissues to put energy in to raise the electron density, to raise the pH of the tissue, mm-hmm. and to activate the gene activation.
My wife has arthritis. Could you discuss that protocol as well, he said?
Yeah, well, first off, with arthritis, you can have osteo, where you get elevated levels of nitric oxide, peroxynitrate radical, and cytokines. So you start off with simple things like Inflamex and Cell Defense Plus as anti-inflammatories, Tendon Mender, Joint Performance, and Collagen Max, and add Mountain Red Velvet, and that'll start off the arthritis.
Laura from Colorado has a praise report. Hi, Dr. Bill. I've been taking Allicin and Nutridyne as prescribed, and so far my tick bite has healed with no sign of a red ring.
Good.
Thanks a lot, Laura. P.S. The Allicin seems to help repel any ticks or mosquitoes.
Yeah, if you give it to yourself or your pets, they will never bite you. It basically, you're yucky to them.
Tracy in an email. Just trying to rush it a little bit.
Yeah.
I just wanted to check out my last email, as I haven't had a response yet. And I know you reply to all emails.
I may have already responded to that one.
Any product for improving growing bone in the mouth? I have periodontal disease and need 2 implants in the lower middle of mouth, and my bone may not be good enough to support the metal implant.
Yeah, first, a bone generator, 3 to 6 capsules, usually 6, half hour after 2 meals. Mycel D3, Myco D2, and full vitamin K2 and Collagen Max would be the core to start with. And that will help to regenerate the bone. You can use Lumen Photon on frequency number NICO to regenerate the bone. The actual studies have been done on periodontal disease and NICA, which is cavitations, and that'll reverse it. But you want to use CoQ10, Ubiquinol, and GastroHeal. You chew 1 to 2 GastroHeal 4 times a day, and puncture a CoQ10 Ubiquinol with a corn skewer, squirt it around your gums, hold it for 10 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day, and that'll regenerate the gums and the cavitations. You want to clear your gums with hydrofloss machine with either Nutridyne or Silver 100 after you brush your teeth with Jason toothpaste. that has xylitol that gets rid of the tartar and the what's called a biofilm. It gets rid of biofilm very effectively, xylitol in Jason toothpaste, which is non-fluorinated toothpaste.
David, in an email, what happened to the product called C3?
C3 is an older version of curcumin that we used to have.
Curcumin.
Yeah, we have a much better product now, which is Cell Defense Plus.
Yeah, and we have curcumin cream, too.
Yeah, we have the transdermal curcumin. Yeah, so this is a much superior product now.
Albert, in an email, I'm a past customer. Could you please send me your latest suggestions for someone with heart issues? My symptoms include heart pain upon extended exertion, but it quickly subsides after a short rest. I have never had a heart attack to my knowledge, and I've always led a fairly active life.
Core protocols: cardiovascular, right? Mega Supreme Krill, magnesium glycinate, Gamma E+, and I would recommend ellagic acid, and that'll stop the cardiovascular spasms that are happening. And you should get a Treadmill stress test to see if he's getting spasms, or high-speed CT scan to see if he's got calcium.
I'll give you his email too. God bless you all. We love you, especially all you fathers, for Father's Day. Enjoy your day. All you wives, be so good to your husbands, all the daddies and grandpas out there. And we'll see you next Friday.
Absolutely. Take care, and I'll be back on Monday with a live show from Portland.